Eric, why don't you introduce our second player?
All right, so our second guy is Stefon Diggs. Obviously, there's been a lot of turmoil with this offense. Now it's even been public where Thielen came out and said basically it doesn't matter if you have the best running back in the league, you have to throw the ball to win. So they did that to Thielen. Diggs is still kind of sitting back there with, nothing to show for it. So
I saw him catch one.
Yeah, I think he may have had one catch. I mean, a lot of people didn't know if it was Diggs or Thielen was the one on this team, similar to the last team. But where are we at with Diggs? I mean, I think that Diggs is one of, if not the best route runners in the NFL. And he just happens to be tied to a really bad quarterback. He's obviously voiced his displeasure with his team.
Frustration.
It didn't have the same outcome as when Adam Thielen did it. And I don't know if that's due to tenure or, I'm not sure the whole circumstance there. But for me, I'm a firm believer in Stefon Diggs' talent. So where does that put us in the Dynasty landscape?
I mean, I don't think it's a positive thing on a deeper level than football, that just kind of the way he's reacted to the whole process. I mean, so Kirk Cousins completes, 80% of his passes last week, and 3 of them are to Stefon Diggs. So, as far as production goes, I think it's going to be there. As far as talent goes, he's got it. But I think it's deeper than that at this point. I mean, if I'm the Stefon Diggs owner and I don't own him in any leagues, my hope is that he gets traded. I mean, I'm trying to basically, if I have him, I'm trying to trade him away for what his name value is. And the problem is his value is almost so low because of his production this year that your hands are really tied. So I don't have much confidence in basically his ability to produce like on the offense that they have now. It seems like they've got the system that they like that's working. So I'm not going to say I'm moving on from him. You want to get a some competent value out of him, but I just don't have much confidence in him as far as consistent production goes.
So I want to put you guys on the spot. What is a good value? I know this is hard to come up with just off the top of your head, but let's say you have Stefon Diggs and someone offers you Phillip Lindsay. Do you take it?
Absolutely.
Okay. So let's move a little bit further down the ranks. Let's say someone offers you Tevin Coleman for Stefon Diggs. And I know we're crossing positional situations here, but
I think that becomes roster and team dependent. Okay. I think if you're like in my position this week where I'm scrounging around trying to find a running back to play, I would probably do it because I've loaded at wide receiver. So okay. I think that's where that falls. But if it was just even, I'm not sure on that one, other than because they run the ball so much in San Francisco.
Okay.
If I just wanted the production now, I might go for it, but I don't think you're trading up.
Okay, so let's throw some wide receivers out there then. Cortland Sutton or Stefon Diggs?
Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, definitely right now.
Terry McLaurin?
I like him. I know I didn't. He talked about the trending down, but I like Terry.
I think he's going to be in a even with a run first offense like I talked about. I think he's still going to get some big plays. He's just not going to do what he was doing, I think, as consistent. So I think that he's in a better situation than Diggs.
Okay. And just for the record, I'll take Cortland Sutton over Diggs, but I'll take probably Diggs over Terry McLaurin. I just believe in his talent. I've seen time and time again where he's wide open and Kirk Cousins doesn't see him. So obviously, like you said, you're hoping for the trade or you're hoping that something happens there.
Minnesota scares me because they want to run the ball. We've talked about this many times, they fired their offensive coordinator because they didn't run the ball enough. And I think the only reason they're throwing the ball right now is to appease, the wide receivers that are, crying because they can't get the ball enough. And I think if they continue to win and they don't have to throw it to them as much, I think we're just going to see it trend back down to 80% run.
Yeah. So, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's the problem. That's what I'm saying.
I think the question is it broke?
Scares me.
Because they're what? I think they're 3-2 now at this point in the season. Is that right?
Yes.
So, I mean, I wouldn't say that's broke necessarily, but it also isn't necessarily working.
Well, it's not great, that's for sure. But again, I don't think that's going to speak to they're just going to be a balanced offense right now.
Yeah.
I think they're still going to try to run the ball. So that's the only thing that scares me about it. I don't disagree. I think he's very talented.
Yeah.
If he was on another team, if we could put him on Kansas City or someplace like that where he could have a quarterback that gets him the ball, it would be an awesome show.
Right.
Well, and just one more tiny thing to throw out there. Stefon Diggs has had a lot of soft tissue injuries, and those continue probably for the rest of his career. So that's another kind of tick against him.
Well, and the one thing that really sticks in my craw about it is he's a sexy play, but you just don't start him with confidence ever. It's one of those things to where if you feel like, you know, you're up against maybe a tough opponent and you're like, okay, I know Diggs' ceiling is high. He can get me a ton of points. You play him.
Yeah.
But if you need something with a high floor, Stefon Diggs is just probably not this year at least. He hasn't showed that he's going to get that for you.
And usually he's only coming in on a bye week replacement because his consistency's not up there right now.
Well, you know who he reminds me of? Brandon Cooks.
Yeah.
He's a great wide receiver that every year ends up being a top 12. I don't think it's going to happen this year, but in the past, he's always been a top 12 guy. But you have these games where you feel like you can't trust him, and then he burns you because you don't play him, and he scores 20 points, and then you do play him, and he doesn't score 20 points. So
that's what I mean, because you plug him in on the bye week, hoping that he'll prop your team up, and then he burns you.
Yeah.
So